On behalf of co-head of school Catherine Pollock and myself, I'd like to welcome you all to this very special occasion, the dedication of the Wayne Hancock baseball diamond at Adams Field. Thank you for coming from near and far to attend today's dedication. I'd also like to welcome our new head of school, Dr. Randy Burton, and his wife Karen, who are here today, and they're soon to be very familiar faces to all of us. Thank you all who came together to make this day a reality. As of last Tuesday, 120 parents, alumni, and friends of Cushing have donated to this project, and we are very close to our extended goal of replacing this well-worn backstop, which truly has done us great service for many years, but is now, as you can see, showing its age like many of us. As you enter the tent for lunch after the dedication ceremony, please take time to peruse the names of our generous donors, several of whom are here today. I'd also like to recognize the enthusiastic and heartfelt efforts led by trustee Sue White and her son Ryan Duff, class of 2006, to honor Wayne. As many of you know, Wayne retired in 2015 after teaching history and coaching our baseball team for nearly 40 years. His example of setting high expectations in the classroom and on the field, as well as his strong support of both students and colleagues, have left an indelible mark on Cushing's history. He remains an invaluable part of our community, and his impact on generations of Cushing students cannot be understated. I hope Sue and Ryan's work will inspire other grateful alumni and parents to honor fantastic, outstanding teachers and coaches like Wayne Hancock. And to everyone who has contributed to this project, thank you. Bill Troy, our athletic director, is now going to come to the podium and share a few words. Bill.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Peggy's a little shorter than I am. You know, I don't usually get nervous when I speak, but I get nervous when I speak about Wayne because I don't want him to get mad at me. I'm going to do the best I can here. Certainly, I'd like to welcome Maria and Jaime and Sarah, Christina and Austin, certainly Steve and his beautiful wife, and also to Roger LeBlanc, who came a long way from Arizona. A lot of you don't know, when we travel to Arizona every year, I think we went for 9 or 10 straight seasons, and Coach LeBlanc out in Ahwatukee, I think, and Mountain Point High School did an amazing job for our program at Cushing and welcomed us with open arms and made it really easy for Wayne to run a successful program and get our season off to a great start. And we never got anything canceled in Arizona because, as you know, it doesn't rain in Arizona. But Coach, thank you very much for making a trip here. Appreciate it. So once I put these on, I can't see you. I can only see this paper. So I wanted to talk today not necessarily about the dedication. I've already talked to Wayne at his retirement dinner. We went over his resume and all those sort of things. But I want to talk about a coach, about being a coach, and why this is really important thing after 38 years to dedicate it. Because you know you're a teacher, you're a coach, but deep down into the bowels, what is a coach? You know, we have a very successful one in Wayne. You know, after 38 years at Cushing, he continues to be successful. You know, even working now in the Cape Cod League, there are specific things and specific qualities of a coach. You know, some are quiet, some are reserved, some are extroverted. As I look at Wayne, things started to change at the end. And maybe kids started to change. But one thing that never happened, Wayne never changed. He had his ideals. He had his morals. He had his compass right. And he never changed. He never changed. At the end, things might have changed for him. But these characteristics of a great coach, he always had knowledge of his sport. He was always willing to learn. If there's a new young coach here, always be willing to learn. Coach would always go to his clinics. He was always learning. He had great organizational skills, very organized practice. Even if it was written on a napkin, even if it was written on someone else's history paper, it was always organized. He organized the Central New England Baseball League, a league that still exists today, something that he built from scratch, his own idea. Many, many meetings to get that going. Organization is key. The knowledge of training and conditioning, getting guys going in the winter, knowing what it's like, know what the season's going to be like. Again, effectively run practices. The evaluation of athletes, not always easy in a short period of time. As you know, in New England, the baseball season can be very short. Strategy, the ability to prepare a team for an opponent. Coach always had his own brand of baseball. He had his own brand. He had his own way of doing things. And he stuck with it. He stuck with it to the end. Great communication. Although his communication was complex at times, he knew it. He knew it. Sometimes his players didn't always know it. However, if they didn't know it, if they didn't pay attention at practice, chances are they weren't going to play. Pay attention. Pay attention. He had great communication with players. He still keeps in touch with, testament that some of those guys are even here today. The ability to understand and handle athletes. Athletes change, times change. Wayne was able to do that. He was able to do that. Sometimes it required understanding. Sometimes it required Wayne Hancock saying, rub a little dirt on it. It'll get better. It'll get better. He was always fair. In today's athlete, they know when they're not being treated fairly. They would come at you and come at you hard. Wayne always stuck his ground. He was always fair. He always gave you an opportunity. It was up to you to succeed or not. Motivation. Coach always had great motivation, was always motivated. Whether it was coaching football at Cushing or coaching baseball, he was always motivated. I think what he had trouble with is understanding why an athlete was unmotivated. We all do as coaches. If you're going to play, motivation should be intrinsic. Dedication, enthusiasm, maturity. At times, Wayne, I'm not sure the maturity was there all the time. It's something we can talk about on the tent later on. Humor. Not all sports situations are serious. He would pretend like they were, but sometimes we'd go into that old gym, Heslin gym. He'd be sitting there in his tighty whities with his stirrups on and his baseball shirt underneath, and would have a laugh about what happened during the game. Most importantly, Coach Hancock had the ability to teach. He's a world-famous history teacher. Our school is global. People respect him all over the world. From the basics to the complex, from his voice, to his appearance, to his teaching and coaching formation, planning and progression, all are important to a coach as they are to a classroom teacher. The world of academia might not understand this, but the coach does. The coach does. Those of you who coach know exactly what I'm talking about. The job of role model is infinitely more important than the game of strategy and conditioning drills. Coaching today is a very complex job. It requires a sound coaching philosophy. I think Coach got this philosophy from having great parents. Been given the opportunity to play in the playgrounds of Gardner, Massachusetts. Having a great relationship with his older brother, Steve, a great mentor. Steve, a great coach in his own right, a coach with longevity. Doesn't happen in today's world anymore. 38 years, doesn't happen anymore. Coaching requires time away from family. Jaime, Maria, Christina, you all know what I'm talking about. He spent a lot of time away from home. Coaching is a great challenge. It is not for the faint of heart. It requires competition. Coach Hancock loves competition. He loves baseball. In summation here, what is a coach? A coach is a politician. Think of Wayne Hancock when I say these lines here. He's a judge. He's a public speaker. He's a teacher. He's a trainer. He's a financier. You know how much money Wayne Hancock put in this from his family into this program? A lot. A lot. They probably could have spent their vacation the last month down in Florida, probably could have spent another month there on the money that he spent on his team here. He's a laborer. You know how many hours he spent on this team, on this field, with a rake and a shovel? Countless. Countless. Today's young coach, listen, if you're out there, we're not responsible for your field, you are. Get a shovel, get a rake, get blisters, get out there and do it. Follow the role model. He's a psychologist and a psychiatrist. He might need one. He's a chaplain and he's a weatherman. Oftentimes Wayne would call me. He's like, listen, the forecast has changed. It only calls for 98%. There's a chance. There's a chance we can play today. He must be an optimist and yet appear pessimistic. Seem humble but very proud. Strong but at times very weak. Confident but not overconfident. Enthusiastic but not too enthusiastic. This is the art of coaching versus the science of coaching. Coach Hancock understood the art of coaching. He must have the hide of an elephant, the fierceness of a lion, the pep of a young pup, the guts of an ox, the stamina of an antelope, the wisdom of an owl, the cunning of a fox, and the heart of a kitten. No one ever said that about Wayne. He must be willing to give freely of his time, his money, his energy, his youth, his family life, and sometimes even his health. Shortly after Wayne had some procedures, he was down in Florida, told not to lift. He's lifting pounds of heavy weights off of the home plate tarp to get off. We had to drag him away from it. He's supposed to be in the sun, out of the sun. We had to keep him in the dugout, almost, tie him down, so to speak. In return for all this, you can expect very, very little financial reward. When Wayne Hancock got a job here, the first job he had, if I remember correctly, Wayne Sanborn, it was $3,000. $3,000. Try to raise a family on $3,000 and do all the things that we asked him to do. Along with that, with little financial reward, there's very little comfort on it. There's very little praise and plenty of criticism for a coach. I repeat, there's plenty of criticism, especially in this game of baseball. You're making the call. Some of your players disagree, and of course the fans disagree. But he never veered off course. He stayed with what he believed in how to play baseball. However, a good coach is respected and is a leader in his community. Wayne was a leader of our school. As a young coach, I went to two people, Wayne Sanborn and Wayne Hancock, for advice. He is loved by his team. He is loved by his school. He has satisfaction in seeing people develop, go to college. One of the things he was proud of is where his kids went to school. He learns the thrill of victory and how to accept defeat with grace. Still working on that. Still working that. His association with athletes helped keep him young in mind, body, and spirit, something that he learned at Springfield College. In his heart, the coach knows that in spite of all the inconvenience, the criticism, and the demands of his time, he loves it. He loves it. Wayne Hancock loved it, for he is the coach. Dedication, desire, and hustle is what I see when I think of Coach Hancock. Coach, this is your day. I'm very happy for you. This is a sad day for me. Thank you for your time, your effort, your energy. Thank you for making Cushing better. Thank you for caring.
I'd now like to welcome Bill Kelly, class of 1990, to say a few words. Bill?
All right. You guys hear me? Everything's falling down. All right. On behalf of Coach Hancock, his wife Maria, Jaime, his daughter Christina. I'd like to thank you for having me say some words on behalf of Sticky. Here today on this joyous occasion to recognize one of the most profound coaches ever to do it. My name is Bill Kelly. I had the honor of pitching for Coach Hancock in the late 80s and also playing football. And along with Coach Sanborn, who's over here. You're the best. Love you both. Coach Devin, you out there? Ricky Dog. And Brett Torrey, all of which are with us today. Brett, there he is. You see, Wayne was not only a coach, in looking back on it, a great coach, back on my experience, 30 years, having two sons, Keenan and Jack, 14 with us here today. You see, he was a mentor. He was a friend. He was someone that made you feel better just by being around him. And whether that was in the classroom, on the ball field, or on campus, you see, to me, that's character, and that's why we're here today. You see, these experiences, they stay with you for your entire life. And for you players in the dugout today, this is something you need to embrace. And even the disappointments, which are great lessons in sports and in life. And I think this is what really embodies Cushing. It's really the fabric of the academy. It's the people, the students, the campus, the coaches, the facilities. These facilities, guys, enjoy it. We didn't have these when I was here. You know, life's going to throw you some curveballs. Life's going to throw you some off-speed pitches. But what you can rely on is what you've learned here at CA. And so many people from different backgrounds that will help you navigate these waters. Now, for our rich history of winning at CA, Coach hated to lose. In fact, I'm pretty sure, Maria, you can testify to this, it probably made him sick for the rest of the day. But I'll tell you this, after win or lose, guys, we would huddle, we'd go out here in the field, we would huddle, we'd talk about it, we'd come together, we'd shake hands, and we'd be gracious sportsmen to our opponent. And about the angriest I ever saw Coach would get, he was kicking dirt and muttering to himself, and he just, you know. A couple highlights, I remember Sticky's 100th victory, and that was on a day actually like this against Belmont Hill away. That was 100. How many victories, Coach, do we have? About 380. You know, I miss those road trips to Deerfield, to Northfield, to Worcester Academy, Exeter, Andover, Wilbraham. The conversations is what sticks with you. And you'll have that through all your life. And that's fostered by Coach Hancock, who we named this diamond for today. I love you, Coach. I'd like to introduce Sue White and her son Ryan Duff to take it from here. You guys up next? All right.
Good afternoon. I'm going to only say a few words. I'm going to leave the specifics to my son Ryan. But I think before I hand him the mic, I want to extend a little bit more color to the comments that have been made recently. Part of the reason that parents send their children here isn't for the sports, as was aptly pointed out. It's for the experience and the bonding that happens between the students and all the mentors that they're surrounded by. There's absolutely no question in my mind, I wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for the two Waynes. Ryan wouldn't be standing here if it weren't for them. A huge difference in his life, and I'm really pleased to say it's absolutely made a difference as to why I'm involved in this school and why Ryan is standing here. So thank you so much.
Good afternoon. I first just wanted to take a few moments here and just thank, obviously, Wayne, the family, everything that you guys have obviously done for me, for the program, for the academy. Secondly, Brett and Peggy, you know, everything that you guys have done over the last several years today was the first day that I stepped foot back on campus in several years. Lot of transformation, a lot of change. And it's something that, I personally am very proud of. Personally, to say that I've, been involved in and been, a product of this environment is something that not a lot of kids can say. And lastly, to the board, the trustees, to recognize this program, recognize this day, to dedicate, this field to a guy that's meant so much to a lot of us in various capacities. Thank you. I never thought I'd be standing here, actually, dedicating a field to, one of my coaches who actually managed to get himself ejected out of more games than I did as a player. It's a pretty unique statistic, Wayne, and I'm glad you were able to pull it off. For those that don't know me, my name's Ryan Duff. I graduated in 2006, and I had the fortunate opportunity to play for Coach for 4 years. And just a quick shout out also to a couple other guys who have been mentioned here today: Wayne Sanborn, Rich Devon, Coach Jay, and any other of my coaches that I played for while I was here. Thank you for everything. I came in 2002 as a freshman, coming out of public school. Didn't thought I really had the life and realized what I was doing, and I was abruptly awoke by Wayne. What it means to kind of be a character guy. I started playing immediately for Coach. I started to kind of learn from him. This guy's really the epitome of what it means to be a Cushing Penguin, in every sense of the word. His passion to the sport, his respect for the game of baseball. He was always the first guy over the line, always the last guy out of the line. I've never met a guy who's been able to hit fungos for hours on end and keep his elbows intact, and also throw batting practice for 6 hours right after and have his shoulder still attached to his body. But all jokes aside, in seriousness, there's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why guys that come back and pay homage to the experiences that they had, not only on the baseball diamond, but on campus. Everybody talks about him being a coach for 35 years. The 400 wins that he was able to amass, the different talent that he was able to represent. But what they don't realize is the impact that he had on us as student athletes. That is difficult, and as times change, as character evolves, I guess you can say, to have a coach that stays with you in the classroom. He was also my advisor for 4 years. We had countless dinners out at the Outback Steakhouse in Leominster to talk through what I was doing wrong and the very few things that I, was able to do right. But it's moments like that I take, with me to this day. It's a tough time for a lot of people coming in. I mean, when you think about it, you're a freshman at age 14, 15, 16 years old. Most of us coming out of public school, you're going away from home for the first time, and you need guys like this. You need guys to look to mentor. To ask questions of and seek answers. And, he typically seemed to have them all, and I'm not alone. I mean, I know one of my co-captains, Aaron Santos, is here today, I think. He shared a lot of these memories with me. We were able to win back-to-back New England Prep Championships in 05 and 06. I was actually just, looking through the new field house for the first time, and I saw our mug shots right in there, which was something just as, it was a cool time and a cool moment. And you take a lot of these skill sets that you learn from this guy with you onto the next phase, whether you're playing, Division I ball, whether you have aspirations to go pro. But, now being out of school for, call it 6 or 8 years now at this point, I took a lot of that skill set with me, Coach. And really, the way that I approach my life now, my relationships, my business practice, my everything, a lot of those characteristics stemmed from what I learned here and what I learned through you guys and you coaches and your mentors out there. So thank you very much to everybody, obviously, for this joyous day. Coach, I appreciate everything you've done for us. Congratulations to you. Guys, good luck today, and thanks for having me.
I'd now like to invite Christina and Jaime Hancock, Wayne's children, to come to the podium to say a few words.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christina Hancock. I'm Coach Hancock's daughter. Been back a few times since graduation, but this is certainly probably the best occasion. So, but first I'd like to say thank you to everyone who helped make this possible, in particular Brett Torrey, Ryan Duff, Sue White, from our family to you. Thank you for all the time and the effort you put into making this a reality. It's always a trip down memory lane coming back to Cushing, but nothing beats coming back to honor Dad like this with all of you here. Dad and Mom have spent 34 years attending medal ceremonies and awards dinners and banquets. Mostly for me. We did an official count at home. I have more trophies, I'm sorry. So it's both a little disconcerting, but mostly a really wonderful feeling to be able to be up here speaking with such pride about my dad and the legacy he leaves here on this field. There are a few pairings that those who've been around Cushing for a long time know are synonymous with one another. Dr. Carlisle and Thoreau, Coach Wenning and Ice, Carey and Moby Dick, and Dad and Cushing baseball. One doesn't seem quite complete without the other, even when retirement tries to separate the two. So I cannot imagine a more perfect way to solidify Dad's association with Cushing baseball than this dedication. There are some pretty impressive stats that have been left on Adams Field by Dad's teams. I've never been a big fan of stats, just ask Mr. Valatudo. So here are some of the oft-discussed intangibles that Dad has left behind. Formation. Countless boys that Dad and his assistants have entirely helped groom into men of integrity and commitment and teamwork. You may not have started it, and the learning didn't end there, but your dedication to instilling values of substance was formative and even transformational to so many of your players that played under your tutelage. Dreams realized. Not just of the baseball variety. As anyone who teaches or coaches in high school knows, proms and finals, college acceptances, first kisses and last hurrahs, these moments, they happen here. They are talked about here. They're analyzed here. Even when they should be fielding grounders, it's where teammates become friends that last outside of campus grounds and long past graduation. Inventive sayings, an incredible amount and variety of colorful analogies and behaviors from Dad that I will let his coaching staff regale you with. Certainly an intangible, probably won't ever be seen again, for sure. Joy, the kind that can only be created after a tumultuous season of highs and lows with your team, your seasonal family. The thrill of victory despite injury and illness, slumps and streaks. For those who have experienced this even once in their life, it sticks. That feeling sticks, and many of us chase it long after graduation. Deep wisdom and knowledge that a lifetime of coaching and teaching and leading and inspiring brings. No one will ever do it quite like you, Dad. The commitment to the three-sport student athlete. You care so deeply about the idea of being both a student and an athlete simultaneously. That your players are better because of it, and not just an athlete, but a three-sport athlete, and what that means to fellow student athletes, to the school, to yourself. You may not have gotten every player on board with that idea, or parent, to be honest, but you got at least two. They're standing up here, and it was a really important lesson. Thanks. And finally, nostalgia. Everyone here has a different sound or smell or vision that brings you here. For me, no matter where I go, no matter how old I get or where in the world I am, the smell of fresh cut grass with the hollow ding of ball on bat brings me right back here to this field and the 18 years I spent growing up sitting on that hill, watching games being played, waiting for practices to finish. You made this place alive with learning and love of the game. Your field of dreams that you would spend hours on before it was even spring. It became a place of reverence not only for you, but for those who recognize the passion and the meaning in themselves when watching you coach with those same feelings on this field. That is an intangible so few people have, and yet you have it in spades, and it has made a profound impact to players and students and fans alike. Thank you for showing me what passion and commitment and teamwork means. I didn't need to learn it in your classroom, though I did thanks to all your pop quizzes, because I grew up steeped in those values. This is where I was introduced to those values. This is where I fell in love with those values, and why I'm never shy about sharing my passions and values and opinions with others, and I know that one is a blessing and a curse. For all that you taught me about the intangibles, thank you for all you did for me, for Cushing. Congratulations. I love you very, very much. And before I hand off the mic to my brother, I'd like to read to you all the last passage of Dad's favorite poem, Casey at the Bat. If you want to hear the rest of it, Dad has it memorized. But here we go. Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright, and the band is playing somewhere, and somewhere hearts are light. And somewhere men are laughing, and somewhere children shout, but there is no joy in Mudville. Mighty Casey has struck out. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here today. I've seen a lot of past players, family, current teachers, past teachers here. It's a great day to celebrate my father, and this is the best place to do it, on the baseball diamond. I'd like to, before we start, recognize a couple people that have been very instrumental in this whole process. And if I could have Sue White and Brett Torrey please join us at the podium just for a minute here. We'd just like to say thank you to you, too. Thank you very much. Thank you guys very much. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank the rest of the development team, everyone else that worked on this project, the Cushing Athletic Department and the baseball family, Coach Shushnik, Coach Troy, and like I said, everybody else that had their hands in this project. It wouldn't have been done. It took months and months and a lot of time and dedication from a lot of people, so thank you. Growing up as Wayne Hancock's son, athletics have always been intertwined with pretty much all of my memories. From being 6 years old, up on the old softball field for preseason football practice with coaches Sanborn, Devin, Dowling, and my dad. Being 8, learning math by getting to stay up late past bedtime, doing the baseball team statistics from a previously played game, usually a win or else I would have been in bed early. To being 10 years old and taking pride in memorizing Coach Wenning's quote of the week at basketball practice my father helped coach. I learned many life lessons from my father's coaching career. I truly believe every great coach teaches the same life lessons regardless of sport, gender, or generation. To quote the current Pittsburgh University basketball coach Jeff Capel, speaking of lessons his father, who was a longtime coach, taught him, show up, keep your promises, appreciate what you've got, and no excuses. I think if you add in pull yourself up by your bootstraps and rub some dirt on it, he could have been speaking of my dad. Jeff also wrote one other thing that stuck with me. All coaches get called coach to an extent, but most of them, you also get a Mr. Whatever, Sir, or even a first name thrown in. But for a small group of coaches, a select few, it doesn't matter where they are or who is talking to them. Some people are just coach, no matter what they did or who they are. That's my dad. Although his seat has changed from the bench over here to the right field hill, or he's even been upgraded to a chair in center field on the roof, I think. And he doesn't have to bring the ball bucket to sit on it anymore. He can still be seen living and dying up there with the purple and white from aloft, the Wayne T. Hancock baseball diamond. Dad, thank you as an alum, an ex-student, an ex-player, and a current son. Congratulations. Well-deserved honor.
On this glorious day, this is one for the records, Wayne. it is our honor to have so many people here to sing your praises, tell a few good stories, and to see the dedication of this field that will live long into the future. So thank you all for your part in this day, and I'd like to invite you to lunch and camaraderie under the tent. Pardon me? Oh. And why am I not surprised? Mr. Hancock does have a few words, so thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
7 years ago. My wife said, keep it short. That's the shortest speech I know. So just looking at those guys in the dugout, those awesome. Look at them back there. I expected Kevin Costner to be sitting with you and Field of Dreams come walking out with those uniforms. They look like a throwback. They're awesome. I was telling Coach Cushing, I really like those. We use the same ones year after year, so guys, you're fortunate. But I do have one thing to say, a fact before we start. Probably not many people know that 100 years after this country was founded, in 1876, the first interscholastic sport played at Cushing Academy was a baseball game. Cushing played the Gardner Clippers in Gardner. The score? The Clippers of Gardner 67, Cushing 25. Think they needed pitching help or what? I want to thank everybody for this special day. It still seems surreal. I'm just listening. I don't know who the guy was they were talking about, but my wife never said those things about me, believe me. But I want to thank Brett for putting this all together. Sue's been great ever since I got to know her in the early 2000s. You look at the two dugouts, they really made this field. Sue was responsible for getting those built. Actually, Wayne Sanborn built them, but Sue actually made sure it happened. And that's the kind of AD that Wayne was. And Ryan, for 4 great years, we had some good teams then. Billy asked me, Coach, those 15 strikeouts I had against Belmont Hill, is that still a record at Cushing? And I looked back in the books and I said, sorry, Billy. I says, there was a guy that had 16 strikeouts. He did pitch for the Cleveland Indians, though. So, Sean DePaula, right? So, you're in good company, Bill. My wife, Maria, for everything she's done. We're going to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary in October. Don't ask me how we got here, but we're here. And she's been with me every step of the way, every win, every loss, good times, bad times, and she was more than just a baseball mother at Cushing. She lived in the dorm for 5 years and mentored a lot of kids at Cushing, so thank you for everything you've done, Maria. I guess I have to start off thanking Joe Curry. Joe was the first, hired me as headmaster back in '77 when I started. He and then Wayne Sanborn needed an assistant baseball coach, a head baseball coach and assistant football coach, so I was lucky enough to get the job, and you're right, I was making $3,000. I wasn't married and didn't have a family, so I could actually take that on. But anyway, that was the salary back then, and you know what? I would have done it for nothing, like most coaches do it for nothing. My wife still says, you going out to play ball? Honey, I haven't played ball in 50 years. I'm going out to coach. It was the same thing. No, it's not. I'd like to thank Wayne Sanborn for being the AD that he was. As much passion as I had for this game, he had it for all the sports that he was the head of. He made sure everybody looked good, everybody acted right. You're going to win, you're going to work hard, and if you lose, you're going to do it with dignity and class. And he brought that from the top down. And I can say the same for Billy, because I had the pleasure of working for Billy for years too. And Billy was the same way. Win with class, lose with dignity, but compete like crazy, but be gentlemen and gentlewomen on the field. And about Billy's a running joke. Say, geez, where are you going on vacation? I said, I'm going to Minnesota. Yeah, how you getting what airlines? Oh, don't worry. Why are you getting a ticket? Just ask Billy. He'll drive you there. Because he would drive everywhere at a minute's notice. It was 2 in the morning. He'd drive people. He'd go to Boston to pick up players. Billy did it all. He'd give his heart and his soul for you. So, Billy, great job, and thank you for the years. For other coaches that I had that put up with me, if you look at I had a long list of assistant coaches. I know why. I know why. Luckily, I've only had one wife, but I had a long list of assistant coaches. So, Rich Devon, thanks for all those years of putting up with me. I worked with Rich in football, and he worked with me in baseball, and we had fun. Casey's Kubblebeck, a fellow Springfield College alum. Thanks for all your years, Case, working with you. Chris Hancock, my nephew, coached with me for a year here. Mike Dubzinski, his folks are here. His dad was my head coach at Gardner High for football and for baseball. And his son, Mike, is now the coach at Wachusett Regional High. He coached here. He played here. And I miss him. I know he's at Springfield today watching his son play lacrosse. Aaron Santos, thank you for helping out on all the trips that we took south. And certainly one other coach that I learned a lot from, sitting on the bench, and it was great because nobody had to calm me down. I was calming him down. That was Billy Winning, so thank you so much, Bill. And finally, to the guys that I sort of handed off the program to, the program's in great shape because at the top there's some great people and some great baseball people. So Adam Gaddery and Robert Foote and Ryan Shushnick, the head man, you guys, you're lucky in the dugout. You're in good hands. They know baseball. Listen to them. You'll only get better. I don't know what your aspirations are, but if it's to go to the next level, they'll help get you there. You got to do the work, but they'll point you in the right direction. And finally, all the guys that showed up today, all the players. I was here from 78 to 2015 and had hundreds of guys who played. I see over here, my man, I missed you. So Dave, thanks a lot. But for the guys that played from 78 to 2015, I'm sorry, I lost my thread in there. Thank you so much. In closing, just got to say something about the field. When they said this is going to be dedicated to you, sorry, Brian, I had a mental moment. All right, it's Brian Royal. Brian also coached with us a year. He played for us for 4 years. Brian went on to be a high school coach in New Hampshire, and he won the state title. So nice job, Brian, you and your team. Getting old, this proves it. You know what? I came out on this field for 38 years. And you see that sign out there says Adams Field? I didn't know it from Adam. Who's Adams? Does anybody tell me who Adams is? I know Watkins. I know the Curry Center. I know Loho. I know Low there. Who's Adams? So I did a little research. And here's what I came up with. I wanted to know, seeing that I was going to share this field, who I was sharing it with. And apparently, Thomas Parkman Cushing had the dream of Cushing Academy. He passed in the middle 1800s. And there were a couple other famous guys from Ashburnham that were coming along at the time. One was Melvin Adams. Now, he was too old to go to high school because he was out of high school by the time this was built and accepting kids from Ashburnham. But Melvin, he went into Boston, became a lawyer in Boston after graduating from Dartmouth, became the head of a big railroad industry in Boston, and as a prominent lawyer, he actually defended Lizzie Borden in the 1890s in the famous, he had her acquitted. And for that, 10 years later, he got picked to be a district attorney from the state of Massachusetts. So that's his story. He happened to be president of the Board of Trustees in 1900 when this piece of property was bought from a relative of his. Yeah, history class. And she was from the Whitney family, Sarah Whitney. Well, she had a son who was his cousin right around the same age, about 10 years older than him. And his cousin, his name was Ivers, and I have a more personal interest in Ivers Adams. Ivers didn't go to high school. because he didn't have to in the late 1800s because he became a millionaire anyway. He went to Boston, got into the twine industry, and became a millionaire. But every day when he went to work, he passed the Boston Commons, and he saw kids playing baseball. Now we're talking 1870s. There weren't even any leagues at the time. He saw kids playing baseball. So he decides, this is Ivers Adams from Ashburnham, Massachusetts, to start the first professional baseball team in Boston. For 5 years they competed. They were known as the Boston Red Stockings. Then all of a sudden, baseball's spreading throughout the country, and the National League is formed, the senior circuit in the 1880s, and Boston has one of the first 8 teams that enters that league. Who's the president? Ivers Adams. The team is named the Boston Braves. They moved out of Boston in, 1950s? And from there, they moved to Milwaukee. They are now in Georgia. They are known as the Atlanta Braves. And I'll tell you what, there's a bit of serendipity that goes along with this. First of all, Ivers gave the schoolboy monument to Ashburnham. He's the one that donated the schoolboy monument. I started my my playing career when I was 10 years old. The first uniform I put on, and I couldn't wait to get that on every afternoon like all you guys who have played. You come home first Little League game, you get that on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the front yard showing everybody, man, I play ball. The Line Hardware, you know what the name of the team was? The Braves. 55 years later, I'm still putting on the damn uniform. Haven't taken one off 1 year. I'm still putting it on, dressing up. And you know I'm coaching now. I'm ending my career down on the Cape. You know what the name of the team is? The Bourne Braves. But you know what? For nearly 40 years in between, I was a Penguin, and I'll always be a Penguin. And in closing, I want to say one thing. There were 2 guys, 2 cousins like those Adamses. 2 cousins from Boston in 1776. And they went down to Philadelphia, and they took along a guy named Hancock with them. And on July 4th, representing the colony of Massachusetts, they made history. They made history. Now, the stage might not be as big here, but for all of us who've played and for all of us that coach here, it's every bit as big. So thank you so much for today, and many victories here for Cushing.